Hey loves, welcome back to another declutter. This is part 2 of my declutter of the year, and we're going to be tackling the face palettes today. If you have not seen it, I did my bronzers not too long ago, which was a good one. I got rid of so many. As always, I'm going to go through, give you some quick speed reviews along the way, and let you know what I'm keeping and what I'm getting rid of. So grab a stack, get cozy, and let's do some decluttering. Starting off with the Park Ave Princess palette from Tarte. I actually do really like this because I love the variety in here. You get 4 different shimmery bronzers. They're each a little bit different as far as the undertone. Princess Cut is my favorite because it has the coolest undertone out of the bunch. And then you have 2 light shades which you could use to set your under eyes with, set your entire face. You could use it to brighten your under eyes. These are really smooth powders actually. They're very, very blendable. I really did enjoy this palette because I found it to be really easy to work with. Really pretty packaging. However, I am going to get rid of this. Honestly, I haven't used this in over a year, so I think it's time to part ways with it. Then we have my beloved blush aesthetic palette from Laura Lee Los Angeles. This I am going to keep because I love Laura Lee Los Angeles blushes. It goes on really smooth. It just has this very nice soft matte filter-like finish when you apply the blushes. I really like this color, Chateau Rose and Tiger Lily. I would mix these two a lot, but I want to keep this palette just for the variety because I also love the fact that you have a little golden highlighter in here, which you could use as a blush topper. You could use it as an eyeshadow. There's some nice mixing shades and just good colors in here in general. So I am going to keep this. This is the Full Fantasy Blush palette. This is a collab that they did, which I do really like, but I don't want to keep too many of these palettes because I'm going to keep the one from Laura, and then I have 2 other blush palettes, so I'm going to see which one I want to keep. From Lunar Beauty, they're all so stunning, honestly. 2 highlighters, 4 blushes in here, amazing variety. I love this pink blossom shade, and then this sandbar color is a really nice like bronzy blush kind of moment. Oh, these are so pretty. This is another splurge worthy palette, and just in general, I think Lunar Beauty also has really good blushes. I'm gonna grab this other Lunar Beauty palette that I have. This is the Moon Prism. Let's compare and see, like I said, which one I wanna keep. Ugh, obviously, like I wanna keep all of them, but I know I don't need all of them. I feel like I should part ways with at least one of these. And we just have to figure out which one. Starting from left to right, we have Moon Prism, which has beautiful bronzy peachy tones. I love this pink moon shade. It's like a really soft, light baby pink that's not too bright. Yeah, this is Moon Prism. I think I want to keep this one. And then I think I'm going to also keep Nude Prism because I love how there's very neutral, light pinky bronzy tones with the 2 pops of color in here. I also can't get over this packaging, so I think I want to keep this one. And I think I'm going to part ways with the Full Fantasy palette. Not that I don't love it. I honestly really like these tones, but because I need to get rid of one. I don't need both. Then we have the Fenty Beauty bronzer palette. This is the Sun Stalker Face and Eye Bronzer and Highlighter palette. I actually really love Fenty bronzers. I talked a ton about them in my last bronzer declutter. This would also make for a great eyeshadow palette. So I am gonna keep this because I feel like for traveling or just for like a quick and easy bronze to makeup look in the summer, this is a nice go-to palette, or just in general. You get these 2 colors in here that could be used as eyeshadows. Of course, these matte shades can be used on your eyes and your cheeks. And I think Fenty has amazing bronzer formulas, so this is definitely a total winner. I really like it. Then I have the Blushing Bubbles palette from an indie brand that I love called Metamorphosis. If you have a deeper, darker complexion, if you are tanner and you love richer, more pigmented blushes, you're gonna love this brand. The colors are so rich and intense, and she has a really good variety on her website, and like each of the palettes are very unique. So really beautiful. Like I said, a little bit of these goes such a long way. This color is actually one of my favorites, Fruity. It's a really pretty like watermelon pink. They give you such pretty pigment, but they go on really smooth and silky on the skin. So I love, but we're gonna get rid of. Then I have the Bellini palette from BH Cosmetics. This is the 6 color blush palette. I found this at Marshall's or TJ Maxx a few years back, and I am gonna keep this because of course I love the tones, but I've talked about this so many times. I'm such a huge fan of BH Cosmetics, and I think their formula is just impeccable. I'm so sad that they're not a brand anymore, but I need to keep this for keepsakes. Then we have the Moira Oh La La Blooming Series palette. I can't believe I haven't even dabbled into this. These are so pretty. You get what looks like to be 2 bronzer blush hybrids. So it's like a blush, but it's almost a little bit like a bronzer kind of blush moment. I'm trying to see if it says bronzer on the back. No, it doesn't say, but you could use these as bronzers. You could use it as a blush bronzer duo. But then you have the 3 3 pink mauve blushes in here and then 1 highlighter. This one I'm gonna keep. I have another Moira palette and I'm gonna see which one I wanna keep versus the 2, but I really like the tones in here. I actually need to use this because I love Moira, and Moira kind of honestly reminds me of BH in a way. They have great quality, but they're not that expensive. So this is another keeper. Then I have the Pixie X Promise palette. I think I want to part ways with this because I haven't used it in a while, but I love the Shapeshifter palette because you get a couple different bronzers in here with different undertones, some richer shades, a little bit of a lighter tones. I always used this color the most. I like the banana color and then this light color. So honestly, I really mostly used 3 shades in here out of the bunch. So I think this would be better suited for somebody maybe who would use all the other colors if you have a deeper tanner complexion. But I love this palette. I think Pixie has some really good face palettes and this is one of them. But I'm gonna get rid of this because I want to keep others instead, but this is a cute palette. I do like it. This one from Pixie I am gonna keep. This is the Makeup by Denise X Pixie collab, and this one is basically a bunch of different highlighters, you could call them, or I like to refer to these kind of colors as blush toppers. You could put it over your cheeks if you wanted to match your blush to your highlighter, like with some of these pinky colors right here. You could just top it over and it's gonna give you some color along with that glow. So it's like a 2-in-1 hybrid of like a blush and a highlighter. But I think these are gorgeous. I actually want to use these more because it's a really nice formula. These are actually really pigmented. So these are what some of the swatches look like. Very smooth formula, not glittery. Think of like a baked blush without the glitter because you're gonna get a little bit of that color, but also with some glow as well. So you could top this over your favorite blushes, or you could just use these on its own if you wanted to just give yourself a little glowy cheek. We have another Metamorphosis palette. This is the Michoacan blush palette. Another gorgeous, vibrant, warm orangey, rich blush palette. I mean, the colors speak for themselves. They're so pretty. This is another one though that I'm gonna part ways with because I have another one in here that I'm gonna show you next that is much better suited for my skin tone, but 10 out of 10 for these, honestly. And then the packaging is also gorgeous. So this is the Metamorphosis palette that I'm gonna keep. That is my go-to. It's the Conchita blush palette, and you can see clearly why I love it so much, but the variety of pinks in here is insane. I also feel like if you have a deeper or tanner skin tone, you could get away with using these because even some of these pinks right here, they're so vibrant, and I just love the different tones of pink. We have the mauves, we have the baby pink, a little peachy watermelon moment, a little bit of everything. This is truly one of the best pink blush palettes we're keeping. Now we have 2 contour palettes. I'm gonna start with the high-end one and then I'll show you guys a nice affordable alternative. So this is the KVD Shade and Light contour palette. This is a classic OG. I actually used to use this back in the day and then I repurchased it back in 2020. But I'm gonna keep this because I don't have a lot of contour palettes in my collection. Like most of the palettes that I have, they don't have these kind of cool tones, which I really like. And I love these under eye powders to brighten, to set, to clean up the contour. It's a nice multi-use palette, huge mirror, nice packaging. It's just one of those OGs that is good quality and good to have. So this I'm gonna keep. And then this is the Koki Powder Contour Palette, which I think is a nice alternative dupe, if you will. It's not identical, just to show you the tones. Slightly different, but very similar. And you can get Koki at Rite Aid. Hopefully it's still available. If not, Amazon has Koki. But this is a really cute palette I am gonna keep because maybe I could do another like updated dupe video and feature these side by side again because it's been a while honestly since I've compared these side by side, but I love Koki and I like KVD, so we're gonna keep both. Then we have the Profusion bronzer palette. So you can see here, this is what I mean with like the bronzers are gonna be much more warm versus a contour that is gonna be less orangey. I absolutely love Profusion palettes. I think that they are underrated in my opinion. They're amazing quality. I think this was like $5 whenever I got it. So I have another drugstore bronzer palette that I go to more than this one from Essence. I'm gonna get rid of this one, but if you want a good bronzer palette under 10 bucks at Walmart, Profusion is where it's at. This is really cute, but I don't use it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder Palette is the one that I always reach for whenever I go into this drawer. I love this. This is also 10 bucks. Love the different shades of bronzer. Compared to a lot of bronzers at the drugstore, these are warm, but they're a little bit more of like a rich color, which I really like. These are super buttery smooth. Love it. Keeping. Almost forgot this little palette back over here from Catrice. This was from a limited edition collection. It's the Jungle Book face palette. Catrice and Essence are kind of like sisters, by the way, when it comes to brands. This is really cute though. We have two bronzers here on the bottom. This one is a little bit more of a lighter tone, and then Into the Jungle is a more richer, kind of like a red toned bronzer. Up top we have a highlighter, which could also be used as a blush topper, and then this is another highlighter, which is a little bit lighter. But I'm gonna part ways with this because let's be realistic, girl. Now this I do want to keep. I don't think that they still make this anymore, the Too Faced Natural Face Palette, but this is adorable. Like the packaging, I remember I got this in a BoxyCharm. How beautiful is this? You get two highlighters in here, two blushes, and then two bronzers. I like this palette. I'm gonna keep it. Plus it's really pretty, like just to have in your collection. This is another palette that I really like. It's much smaller, from Smashbox, the Halo palettes. I traveled with this a couple times and I love it because you get two blushes, a bronzer, and a highlighter in here. And there's nothing I love more than something compact but very practical with good quality. I feel like Smashbox is one of those brands that we don't really hear a lot about, but I have enjoyed many of Smashbox complexion products, and this is one of them. I believe this was a limited edition palette, unfortunately, from Ulta, but if you can still get your hands on it, I think it is a good value. This one is in Back to Cali, which I am gonna keep because just very neutral, bronzy blush tones in here that I really like. There's another one in here. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have two other Smashbox palettes over here. Let me just grab these since we're here talking about them. This is another palette in Pink Saturation. I adore the pink in here. It's like that light baby doll lilac-y pink with the peach tone. This I'm gonna keep, also really like it. And we have another one in here. This one is in Coral Saturation. This is brand new. I'm not even gonna swatch it because I'm gonna donate it, but it's truly perfection. The colors are a little bit more rich and bright. The highlighter to this one is more golden, and then look at these blushes. They're perfect for summer, but we're gonna get rid of it. But you see how compact and sleek it is? I love it. Another gem at the drugstore is the LA Girl Island Hottie Blush Palette. This is nice because you get two coral orangey shades. You get a bronzer blush hybrid. A bronzer blush is basically literally that. It's a bronzer. It's like if a bronzer and blush had a baby, this is the kind of color you're gonna get, where it's not quite pink, it's not quite bright and intense, but it's also not as orangey warm as a bronzer. It's just like that nice hybrid in between. So I think it breaks up the palette really nicely from corally shades to that bronzery color to a very pale pink. But these have some pigment. They definitely pack a punch. LA Girl's blush palettes are incredible, kind of similar to BH Cosmetics, Moira. Like they just have that good, smooth quality that's not expensive. So you can find LA Girl online, of course, Ulta, CVS, and this is another winner we're keeping. And then this is the Blushed Babe palette, a little bit different. We have a couple different tones, again with that kind of bronzer shade in there. Gorgeous bright pink, a coral, and then this is a bronzer shade, which also, again, you could use it as a blush. You could just use it to add some color to your face. Absolutely love it. I need to actually use this again in my next drugstore video. This is the winner we're keeping. We have another drugstore gem. This is the Revolution Roxy Blush Burst palette. If you're into warmer, peachy, orangey tones, you're gonna love the tones in here. This is a really cute palette. Also love Revolution face palettes because they are amazing quality and super pigmented, like Profusion. For me personally, I focus on a lot of these like lighter peachy tones in here, a little bit of this color, which kind of gives that Hourglass vibe a little bit, you know, like with the swirl in there and like the pigment, but beautiful tones in here, and I like the quality of this. So we're gonna keep, because I always like to have a good variety of drugstore palette. Then I have the Jouer 6 Shade Blush Palette. Very pretty packaging, and I actually love Jouer. I used to love when they were at Sephora. I think their blushes are fantastic. Very just soft, smooth, and I really enjoyed this palette for the time being, but I actually used the Jouer blush duos more than the palettes. I didn't really reach for this all that often, but when I did, of course, I focused a lot on these kind of colors right here. They're very silky and soft, pigmented, but I am gonna get rid of this palette just because I haven't used it. This is another gorgeous palette from Fawn Beauty, the blush palette. I adore these colors. I adore Katie Fawn, by the way. She's everything. But I mean, this is another one of those gorgeous palettes that has the perfect amount of pink tones in here. Like, you have a pink for every occasion, every makeup look. It kind of gives me Metamorphosis vibes. Like, it has like that very gorgeous, okay, great, I just dug my finger in there, but it has that very gorgeous, cool undertone with the pink. This actually, I think, complements the Conchita palette beautifully. You can see the tones are similar, but they're different in each palette. We love her. We're keeping. Volume 3 Smoky Palette. I don't know why I haven't used this, but look at how cute this is. Little highlighter in here. We have 3 eyeshadows, 2 blushes, and then a light little bronzer. I think sometimes with Milani, as much as I love them, I feel like a lot of their palettes get overlooked because of the packaging. When you're at the drugstore, you can't see what they are, and a lot of times they are sealed, so you can't really see the true palette for what it is, like the first impression of it. I definitely want to use this. Like, maybe we could do a full look with one palette or something like that. I know you guys remember this gem, Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit from Nicole Guerrero. She is an OG. I love her. I remember watching her videos back when she had the pole in her room. You guys know what I'm talking about. But this is just one of those like really pretty nostalgic products. These are definitely that 2016 wet looking highlighter vibe. But I feel like also, like, we could use these as eyeshadows. You could literally just swipe this all over your lid and have eyeshadow for the rest of your life, truthfully. But they're gorgeous, they're glittery, they're wet, they're smooth. I need to keep it because it's so nostalgic. We have another palette here from Moira. This is the Blossom and Adore Face Palette. So it was between either this and the other palette. Oh, this has nice tones in here. This kind of gives sort of like that Laura Lee vibe a little bit. Let's compare. Oh, I want to keep both, honestly. Yeah. You see, like, the tones are so similar. We have like the peaches, the pinks. We have the very neutral, like, bronzer shades. We have like the really light colors in here for my fair skin girlies and guys. You really do have a little bit of everything in here. Oh, wow. Now I feel like I want to keep the Moira one so we can compare and so we can have a little variety. Because compared to the other Moira palette that I'm keeping, this one is just blushes. The Ooh La La Blooming palette also has a highlighter in here, so it's a little bit different, and I feel like it has more of like those bronzery tones. These are totally different. Me trying to convince myself to keep both palettes. And I think I just did, though, for real. We're gonna keep both because I honestly haven't even used this. I bought it. I don't know why I didn't use it. Probably because it got lost in the bunch in here. Then we have the Patrick Ta Major Holiday Face Palette. I bought this either, I think it was last year or the year before that. This is a really pretty palette. You get 2 cream and powder blush duos. I used this really light pale pink the most out of the entire palette, and then you get 4 glitters. Really beautiful. I will be honest though, when I first got the palette, most of these glitters fell out of the compact, which I thought was really annoying considering how expensive the palette is. Love me some Patrick Ta, but I feel like with the shadows, some of these, they need to be like pressed or like glued on the back a little bit more intensely because it's not the first time where I have little shadows that fall out of the palette. But regardless, it's a gorgeous palette, but I have these blushes, and I should have thought about this honestly before I bought it, but no. I bought this for the glitters. But after he released this palette, I don't know exactly when, but he ended up coming out with the glitters that come in the little duos, which I love. But I like those more just because I think it's just more compact and better. They fall out in this palette, which I don't love. So I'm gonna get rid of this palette as a whole because I really didn't reach for it as much as I thought I was going to. I like this pale pink the most, but we gotta part ways with it. It's really beautiful though. I mean, if you're into glitters, Patrick Ta's glitters are next level. I just think they need a little bit more super glue in the back here to prevent them from falling out, but stunning. And then his blush duos are my favorite. This is another palette that I really enjoyed, but I'm gonna get rid of it because I feel like I had some good drugstore variety here, but it's the Profusion Blush 3 palette. Beautiful, love these tones. I used these a lot down here on the bottom. I used to use a lot of orangey blush tones, and now I do more pinks, but I do still love my peachy coral tones, and this is definitely a nice light warm palette. Again, if you're into palettes, you don't want to drop a lot of money, these are under 10 at Walmart. Then we have the Nudegasm Face Palette from Charlotte Tilbury. You get 2 highlighters up top, a golden one, a peachy toned one, and then we have a bronzer shade that's a bit more on the cool toned side, and then another very light contour shade here on the bottom. These are described as sculpting contour powders. Yeah, so you can see the undertone to them is very cool toned. Honestly, Charlotte Tilbury's palettes are very nice. They're very luxe, they're very smooth, just go on like, I mean, it is a luxe product, but it really does apply luxe on the skin. These feel like silk. Colors like this for me, I like, again, for contouring or for contouring my nose, because it just gives a very light, natural shadow. I want to play with this a little bit more, at least one more time before I officially get rid of it, because I haven't used it in a little while. And I really do like Charlotte Tilbury palettes because they're so pretty, and this does look gorgeous. So we're going to keep for now. And then I have this Pillow Talk Beautifying Face Palette. I have a dupe for this, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. This I'm going to keep. You get the most beautiful blushes in here. We have Pillow Talk and then this really pretty pink. And then you have two highlighters. The way that these are just so silky, I actually do really love Charlotte Tilbury face palettes, because I think if you're gonna splurge on a palette, because you get more than one product, you can mix and match, and you just get a little bit of everything in here. So I think I'm gonna keep this. This is really pretty. I actually wanna use this more. So this is a dupe that I think, I mean, it's not identical. I would say it's more of a very close alternative. It's the Pixie Sugar Blossom palette. 2 blushes and 2 highlighters in here. I'm gonna swatch these to show you. They're a little bit different as far as undertone, but again, we're going for similarities here, and this really does it for me. If you have not tried a Pixie palette, I totally recommend. They're very nice quality. So that is Pixie right there. We have some pinks and some like bronzer kind of tones. I'm gonna swatch Charlotte Tilbury right here. This color right here is very similar to the one in the Pixie palette. It's like that rose gold highlighter. Kind of hard to see, but we have Charlotte Tilbury versus Pixie here. Similar tones, not identical, but very similar if you're into the pinks, the rose gold, the bronzer kind of shades. It's beautiful, but you could definitely get a very similar effect with Pixie for sure. So one of my favorite dupe comparisons for sure, but I'm gonna keep the one from Charlotte Tilbury because it is really pretty and it's gorgeous. It's just expensive. Then we have a Tarte blush palette. This is the Precious Gems Amazonian Clay blush palette. If you have not tried Tarte blushes, I do think they are honestly amazing quality as well. I got this as part of a holiday collection and it was a really good value actually. I love it, but I don't need it, so we're gonna get rid of it. And we're gonna end off with another drugstore gem that I love, the e.l.f. powder blush palette. I rediscovered this in my collection a few months back and I have not been able to put it down, specifically for this light pale pink. I know the palette looks maybe not so exciting in the pan, but I'm telling you, this is so pigmented. It really packs a punch, but this pale pink is the most perfect addition to any of your favorite blushes. If you do a blush combo like a cream and then you do a powder over top, use this over top of that and it's gonna transform your makeup look. It brings this beautiful softness to the cheeks and it also adds this light glow that is not glittery. It's just like the most gorgeous glowy soft pink shade. I cannot describe it. It's next level. I think this palette is worth it just for this color alone. However, the other colors in here are really pretty as well. They're more like neutral warm tones. They're not too orangey, which I like. I can't say enough good things about this palette. I think it's like 10 bucks at the drugstore, but it's fantastic. So let's petition it for e.l.f. to bring these blush palettes back. Like maybe you could customize them the way you can with the new Hourglass palettes. Like imagine that would be amazing. e.l.f., you're probably not watching this video, but I would love to see that. So anyways, love it. We're keeping. This is a winner. Almost forgot to mention another gem. This is high end, but totally worth it. I think out of all of my palettes, if I had to choose one that I think is totally worth the splurge, it would be this Hourglass one. And they recently just came out with a palette where you can actually customize your own shades, which is really cool. But this one I got over a year ago. It's the Lighting Edit Universe Unlocked Ambient Palette. These are amazing. Soft, filter-like finish. We have a finishing powder, which is literally a powder that you apply once your makeup is complete, just to diffuse out any harsh lines and just give you almost, like I said, this filter-like effect to your skin. The blushes are fantastic. This is, I think, my favorite high-end blush formula ever. We also have a bronzer in here and then a highlight. So you literally have everything for a full face, like on your cheeks. So these are all the palettes I'm gonna be getting rid of, AKA donating. And then these are the ones that I am keeping. Honestly, compared to my other declutters, this was a more simple declutter. Things weren't overflowing as much as other categories in my makeup, but we still did really good. I definitely kept more than what I got rid of this time. However, I wanted to keep some for keepsakes in here, of course. This means more Shop My Stash videos are coming. Make sure to let me know your favorite face palette down below in the comments. Drugstore, high end, and also stay tuned for my next declutter. I think we're gonna tackle the highlighters, liquids, powders, all the things. So stay stay tuned for that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this kind of content and just all things beauty in general. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you very soon in my next one. Bye.